SmashFactor.
Ripping driver, going for it. Oh my goodness, how about that tee shot?
That is crazy how far that is.
Wow. John Daly, take a back seat, big fella. How about that drive?
That's an aggressive line. Man, that is beyond long.
Look at this, he's just driven the green. He has just driven the green.
I guess hello world, huh?
Welcome back, everybody, to the SmashFactor Players Championship 2019 edition. I'm your host, Michael Ruvy. You can catch me on Twitter at Michael Ruvy. I'm here, as always, with my two buddies, Bucks and Gup. You can catch them on Twitter at BPSnow11 and at I am the Gup. Catch us online at gupscorner.com or at Gups Corner on Twitter and at Gups Corner on Instagram and facebook.com/GupsCorner. Today, we're going to review the API really quickly. We're going to discuss this week's Players Championship, also known as the fifth major to a lot of people. Want to remind everybody that if you're interested, become a premium member before the Masters of Gups Corner. It is a special rate before the Masters, so go $69.99. You can lock that price in for life. Go do that right now on gupscorner.com. We also do have a giveaway from a subscriber contest that Gup did yesterday, so Gup will announce that coming up. The SmashFactor is brought to you by AmpCaddy. Go to ampcaddy.com, type in the promo code SMASH, and get $20 off your next AmpCaddy for your next round of golf. The weather's starting to get better, so go do that right now. Quick mention of our affiliates. We have some great affiliates, the first being Fanshare Sports. They have a new site launch promo this week, and it's this week only. So they have a new site launch, 30% off any subscription using the promo code TRENDING, TRENDING, trending. So go to fansharesports.com, type in the promo code TRENDING. You will get 30% off any subscription. As well as Fantasy National Golf Club. Use the tools we use. Go to gupscorner.com. There's a link on our website for the affiliates, and you'll get 20% off your next subscription at Fantasy National. Their prices just went up, so that could be a good savings for you. Gup, how are you doing today, bud?
Doing well. Excited for this week. Last week was interesting up and down type of deal. Made some right decisions that didn't pay off, and then made right decisions that did pay off. Kind of the whole theme of the fifth major kind of gets everybody excited. Reading last night throughout the deal, I guess historically this hasn't been a great tournament for most, but I went back and looked at the last few years, and it's actually been fairly decent for me, and last year did really well. Hit Webb to win it at 80-1 as an outright. So looking forward to it. A lot to digest. I think there's a lot of perception and reality to get through tonight, because I think there's a lot of bad perception in the industry about the field, the pricing, the players. So hopefully we can get through some of that and help people win money.
Awesome. Yeah, Bucks, how you doing, bud?
Doing awesome, man. I'm pumped to be back in the States. Just got back from London last night. So I am excited to degen some golf this week, whereas last week I had zero opportunity to watch any golf. But this week's going to be awesome, man. Love this event.
Yep, great to hear. I just want to remind everybody to rate and review on iTunes. You'll be entered into a prize pack that we are going to give away right before the Masters. Actually, the Masters recap show. It's on the evening of the 14th, so after the Masters. We have items from all over the place. So please go rate and review us on iTunes and subscribe on YouTube as well. It's the same thing. You'll be entered there. If you want to leave a comment on YouTube, that's awesome as well. Gup, do you want to get to the giveaways on these subscribers, or do we want to wait for later?
Wait.
All right, we will wait till later then. Let's get straight into reviewing the API. Gup, why don't you give us your good, bad, and ugly of the API?
Yeah, interesting tournament. Kind of played out how most thought it would as far as the scoring and stuff like that. Wasn't as brutal as could be there. Probably similar to what we'll talk about tonight. Francisco just got hot, or it kind of reminded me of Xander at the beginning of the year, where you just have a, once in a year, once every 3 or 4 year type of round where you make everything and you come from behind to win it. wish I would have saw that Saturday night when I was trying to, find some value on the board. But I really wasn't on him much this week, but he's just hot with the putter, the flat stick. For me, the good was Showdown though. So even though I really wasn't on him Sunday, I did have I had the 3-star on Adam Long. I played him 100% in Showdown Sunday, and I think I like 5x my Showdown, which literally brought me, almost back to even. I think I lost a little bit, almost half a star if you'll call it that. So it's kind of saved my week. Had my bad for the week was my main slate, and I thought I made all the right decisions. Faded Day 100%, faded Rose 100%. Day withdrawal, so that really bumped me up. Rose, just average, kind of like I thought and said last week that he doesn't normally play well coming off of an extended break, and he didn't. Made it to Sunday, but didn't play well and certainly didn't return value. So those are great moves, but kind of outside, I went with Brooks, which I never do, and I said that last week, and that's why I never do, because he continuously to screw me, and he misses the cut. So even with him missing the cut, I went to bed. Saturday, I was still up, 5 figures into it because my team was so strong. My main team, my 4 or 6 was very good, and then Keegan went Keegan, and then Billy went terrible Sunday. So it kind of just fell apart. Fleetwood didn't play good Saturday. I had a lot of him. But I was up there in the $44. I think I got as high as 5th mid-round Sunday, and then kind of faltered back as I had 0 Molinari, so as he started climbing, that kind of went away. Like I said, Showdown kind of saved the week for me, which was good. Worst was betting, which wasn't terrible. I think I lost 6 stars total, but it was my worst of the year, and certainly well below my standards. That's with Adam Long, and I had DeChambeau over Day right out the gate. So there's 5 stars. So it kind of tells you that it really wasn't a good week betting wise. Nothing I really regret. I did jump into the top 20 deal, took some value there, but I went 0 for 3. So I don't really know if that's, I think I can get live value better than doing those sometimes. I'm still kind of looking at that, but all in all, just an average week, lost a little bit betting, broke even. Anytime I can do that, if I do that every single week, almost back and forth between DK and betting, I'll take it. So I survived and on to next week.
And Bucks, how about you, bud?
My good for the week was hitting some of the lower value, like the 6K guys, low 7s, like Kisner, all over Kisner. The bad was having a very high amount of Jason Day and a very high amount of guys like Cam Champ. Once Jason Day withdrew, I knew that it was going to take a miracle for me to – you're always looking for that one bullet, right? You don't play like the $5 expecting to have half your lineups cash. You want that one that just smokes everybody and come in the top 5. But when you have a guy who withdraws after the first 5 holes, it's deflating. So that would be the bad. The ugly for me is non-DFS related. I just wasn't able to watch one golf shot the entire week. And so that was depressing. Had some opportunities to watch late night in London, being at that time 5 hours ahead. But wasn't able to watch any. So all in all, okay week. Ready for the players. How about you, Ruvy?
I'll make it short and sweet. Bad, I did marginal at best. I got about a third of my bankroll back from DraftKings, so not good. Good was the Rubies were okay. One of them withdrew, so that one didn't count. And I didn't have time because I was solo with kids this weekend to update that real quick on. But the other one of the Rubies was Adam Shank, and Adam Shank had a really good week. He did double he bogeyed, bogeyed the last 3, so kind of dropped him from 6 to 4, but he did pretty good. And then the Cole was Connors. Connors did really bad, so that was a okay call. The other one was Danny Lee, and he trunk slammed the back 9. So I guess that was the ugly there. So I've got some quick shout outs because some other people did really good.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, Tips and Yips had a big showdown. He made over $1,500 and on showdown. So congrats there to Tips and Yips. Chase Buck, he got about $355 off of a $30 investment. Very good ROI there. Brad McAllister, $5,110 off less than $100 put into DraftKings. Big week there, Brad. Eric
Awesome.
and Eric Mix. These are members of Gups Corner as well. Eric Mix, second in the $100 single entry for $3K. And the winners of the SmashFactor listener leagues, we had two of them because they filled so quickly, were Brandon Cockrell, I believe, or Brandon Cook 2. So Brandon Cook 11 maybe, and Packer Fan 1132. So congrats to them, both winners of a SmashFactor listener league this week. So we have two again this week. So
that's awesome.
let's get into this week's course preview at TPC Sawgrass. Really famous course. So Bucks, take it away.
Yeah, everybody's been talking about a fifth major. We are at the Players TPC Sawgrass this week in Ponte Vedra. Everybody knows this event. Everybody knows the 17th. Not many know the full course and kind of the backstory behind it. But real quick, the TPC Sawgrass stadium course is 7,200 yards, par 72. Green sizes are around 5,500 square feet, which is a little under tour average. So fairly small greens. Typically, the greens are really firm. This year, you have some overseeded Bermuda. So they should be a little bit softer. Average winning score is typically 12 under, and the average cut line is +2. And I'm not sure how much weight to put into it, but since 1995, they've mixed up playing this in March, playing this in May, and anytime they play this in March, the average score is about one stroke higher than playing it in May. So take that for what it's worth. 12 under is the average winning score, but again, scoring could be. You have two trains of thought on that. The score, historically, the score is higher in March, but I think that they've changed up the course a little bit this year, and we might see some different scoring. But getting back at the course, so 1976, Pete Dye was contracted by the Tour after they bought up 415 acres of swampland, and the Tour approached Dye and said that they wanted a couple things. A golf course that tested all facets of your game and a golf course that was spectator friendly. They wanted to create a championship venue that was friendly to everybody viewing. So what Dye did was create a golf course that was incredibly demanding, and he created a ton of mounding around the fairways, the greens, so that spectators could get a really good view of what was going on. After the first event that was played here, in 1982, I believe, basically Pete Dye had a lot of backlash from tour players. I mean, big names like Jack Nicklaus saying that the course was just far too demanding. And so Pete Dye listened and basically widened the fairways, bulldozed the greens. When he first created it, was typical Pete Dye. Just insane undulations in the greens. Fairways were crazy tight, visually intimidating off the tee. But after that 1982, he had to go back and kind of smooth things out a bit, decrease some of the undulations. We still see some pretty crazy greens out here, but obviously not as bad as they used to be. So what we see now is just a really, really balanced golf course. You have to – typically you have these golf courses where 70% of your approach shots fall within one category, like 150 to 175. Here at TPC Sawgrass, you have such a wide variety of holes. You have 480-yard par fours. You have 300-yard par fours. You have reachable par fives. You have par fives that aren't really reachable. And you have par threes that are 135 yards. And you have a par three that's 237 yards. And so you really see this balance in the clubs that you have to use. And so getting into it a little bit, I mean, you have, as far as par threes go, you have two holes that are right around 179 yards. You have the 17th, which is 137 yards. And then you have the 8th, which is 237 yards. overall, you have a really, really small birdie or better rate on these par threes. And the 8th, I believe, is like the 4th hardest hole on the golf course, which is crazy. The par fours, you have quite a few that are, or 3, I guess, that are between 400 and 450. You have 2. You have 4 that are between 450 and 500. So you have a really wide mix of approach shots on the par fours. And then the par fives, you do have 4 of them, 2 that are a bit longer, and 3 that are somewhat reachable as well. The important thing to note is how much scoring comes on these par fives. I think it's something like 40% of the DK points come from the par fives. And when you look at Webb in his win last year, he really excelled at par 5 scoring. I think he led the event in par 5 scoring, which is crazy considering that Webb was last in driving distance, first in driving accuracy. But he just made the most out of his wedge game and obviously his putting. So when you look at this golf course, the one thing that I'll mention, which is a little bit different from hearing reports from the players, hearing reports of guys that have been at the course in the last week, the rough seems to be down quite a bit compared to normal. And so when you factor that in mind, it was, as mentioned, very visually intimidating off the tee. You have to keep the ball in play to kind of attack these greens. But with the rough being down, I think it opens the door a little bit more to guys that may hit it a bit longer, but aren't so worried about getting into the rough anymore. The real worry about Sawgrass is you have to avoid the big miss. You can miss a little bit off the fairway here and there, get into the light rough, and still have a chance at these greens. The big miss is where the big numbers come into play, and that's the real killer. You see it a lot on guys that just missed the cut or just missing out, like Tony Finau made a quad on 17, his second round last year, second round in 2017. And so you really have to avoid the big number. There's water on 17 of these holes. And so it's not like you can just go bomb and gouge it everywhere. You have to pick aggressive lines off the tee. You have to pick your spots on the greens. You have to leave yourselves makeable putts. And you just have to find the guys that have a higher chance of minimizing their risk. And so overall, I think this golf course, typically, like we said, we see 12 under or so. I think that we're going to see closer to 15 to 18 under. And there's only been 2 tournaments over the last, I think, like 15 years that have got to 18 under. But I think we see that again this year with the rough being a little bit light.
Do you have any update on the weather? Because I know wind could be a factor. Did you want to get into that later?
No. When I looked at it this morning, and again, it's the freaking weather, so it's going to change 19 times by tee off. But as of right now, when I was looking at it, Thursday morning between like 6:30 a.m. and 10:30 a.m., you have fairly light winds, like 5 to 7 miles an hour. Then at 10:30, it goes from like 5 to 7 to 15 and above. And so I think there could be an advantage for guys teeing off early Thursday, because when you look at Friday, it's pretty consistent across the day. You're seeing like 10-mile-an-hour winds on Friday. But Thursday afternoon, starting at like 10:30, 11, you're seeing pretty high winds for the rest of the day. So just something to keep in mind.
Yep, thank you. Doug, why don't you get into the key stats you're looking at this week?
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that, if I can, is which it makes it difficult because you're still going to handicap and review everything as if you expect lower scoring than normal. Mm-hmm. But I would say in the back of your head, you can also kind of think about, because to me, it looks like the weekend's going to play very cool, especially for this time of year, and a chance of a little bit of rain, a little bit of wind. So I think post-cut, you're not going to have. I don't think you have as high scoring as what you could pre-cut. That's hard to factor in, because if you don't make the cut, it really doesn't matter. But if there's some guys there that you think could make the cut and excel in those kind of conditions, maybe a tiebreaker type deal at this point. But like you said, by Wednesday, if that front moves in to Friday afternoon, could factor in. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on as we head into Wednesday and the emergency 9.
Yes, thanks. Now you can get into your key stats you're looking at this week.
Yeah, so I'll be interested to kind of hear the industry this week, because I may be way off, and my model's very different than it normally is. There's a few that stand out, but because of the difference of the timing of the year, and I think 2007 was the last time they played it in March. So the equipment evolution in 11 years, the strength of the field head to toe, much stronger now than back then. So it'll be interesting to see if that, different wins that you have right now than you do, in a mid-May, early May, kind of be different to see how all that evolves this year and how we look at it, hindsight going into next year, because it looks like this is going to be here to stay for a while at this part of the year. I personally am looking at, always ball striking approach, although I've tilted those down just a little bit. Par 5 scoring, greens and red gained. A stat I rarely look at because I know a lot of the industry uses it. And so it's just a way for me to stay off of them, is tee to green, but I am pulling it in a little bit to my model. I have the secret sauce as always. And then around the green is kind of there. One thing I did different this week is, and I'm going to do it moving forward, instead of trying to factor in putting or figure out putting, because virtually, you look at last year, I think Bucks mentioned it with Webb, hot fire putter.
Yeah.
Last week, Rory, from last year, crazy putter, but virtually, I know we get into the running backs don't matter, putting doesn't matter argument here, but which I don't factor that stuff into my thinking is, I want to at least look at it. So what I've done is, anybody familiar with our, my models, is that I've always had a rolling stat model, but this week I'm introducing a rolling putt model. So I'll look at some of the 3 or 4 factors, and I'm going to weight it accordingly, depending on the ranges that I want to, and whether or not I want to bring 3-putt avoidance and stuff like that. Kind of a mixed model. I'm going to run a rolling model 100 rounds in, and I'm going to bring that whole model into the big picture, and just more of a visual, so I can kind of say, all right, well, everything pops, but so Cantley's one, right? And he's across the board inside my top 10, and then he sucks on the rolling putt model. So, but it's something to visually help me gauge it instead of having to go look at who's hot on putting and who's not. I still have stats, recent form, tournament history. To me, looking historically, tournament history is hit or miss here. So you can win, miscut, miss 3 cuts, have a 4th. There is some consistency, so I'll give it that. But there is some, just because of the way the tournament plays out, and then some of the holes that you could do really well and then fall off. Molinari was one last year that 3 top 10s leading into last year, and then he missed the cut. Now he's, hot fire coming off the win, really cheap. Pricing came out early, so that obviously didn't factor into that. So he'll be interesting the way that's going this year. But I'm really not factoring tournament history in a whole lot. Form's been really key, and kind of the stuff I looked at seems like, and I don't have like the deep dive type statistics because I really don't pay attention to a lot of that. To me, it's a lot of anecdotal information, but just generally the winners seem to have good form and have done well here fairly recent within the last 2 years of playing it. So I kind of brought the form in a little more this week. And then just the traditional stat models, factored in as well.
Great. How about you, Bucks?
Yeah, for me, and Gup had mentioned this in his process article that he wrote. And if you haven't read that, I highly recommend doing so. It can be lengthy, but it's worth it. It's all useful information. But after I evaluate the golf course and the weather, and I determine kind of how I think the course is going to play out, that's where I start getting into my stats. And every single week I look at DK points, bogey avoidance, recent form. Those will always be there. Some weeks I factor in bogey avoidance a bit higher. Typically this week I do. And DK points, I typically weight a little less this week, typically. With that being said, after looking at the golf course, seeing that the rough is a little bit down, and again, that might change. They might let it grow out a little bit, but they like to keep things fairly standard from Tuesday, Wednesday into the tournament. But I am going to weight DK points a little bit higher because I think that this course, if you're playing well, has a low number. I mean, we saw it a couple times last year with Webb, obviously, and some others. So the low number is out there still. I think avoiding the big number is still really important. So I'm going to be factoring in bogey avoidance. But outside of DK points and bogey avoidance, ball striking is going to be big for me. The biggest stat for me this week is greens in regulation. That's a huge part, and obviously avoiding the big numbers, hitting a ton of greens. And that seems to be one of the highest correlated stats to finishing position here. And so having ball striking, then greens in regulation are going to be my two biggest stats. Then I'm looking at like around the green and scrambling. And I'm not putting any weight on it in my model, but I am going to be looking at it, is strokes gained putting as well. And I'm going to be moving that more so to basically inside 15 feet, because I think there's going to be a higher number of players, especially on the weekend, that are going to have par putts in that 5 to 10 foot range, depending on where they place these pins.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that, to be honest. I think you guys covered that. So let's get straight into this week's locks, flocks, and flops. Bucks, why don't you lead us off with your lock above 10K on DraftKings this week?
Yeah, my lock this week is going to be Rory. I think that he's obviously elite. I mean, there's nobody can argue against that, but I think he's due. The dude has, 4,000 top 10s in a row right now. And I just think he's due for a win. I think you can make a case for Dustin and JT and Rose and Koepka, Ricky. I mean, you have the top 50 golfers in the world playing this event. I think that Rory right now, I think is the best golfer in the field. And I think he's due to break out and win. It all comes down to his flat stick this week. I think he will lead the field in most categories until you get to the green. And really his tournament's going to depend on how that flat stick is working. And that determines obviously scrambling percentage. So if Rory has even a mediocre week putting, I think he runs away with it, and he's going to be my highest owned golfer this week.
And good one. How about you, Gup?
Yeah, so this is the fairly certain the first time since his return for whatever time that Mr. Tiger has rated number one in my model. The good thing about that is that, everybody knows, and if you read the article, the process that I do my model, as I'll call it, I'm not gonna call it my rankings anymore, as I kind of addressed last night in the Slack. And when you get my report tonight, you'll understand why. Because I'm tired of getting DMs that so-and-so is ranked 5th and I didn't play him or something like that. But I went into it in depth on the process. So if you check that out, I'm going to tweet a post tonight that, there's been
everybody. You got to pick your spots, man.
All right. But there's a big misnomer on that. My rankings that come out Monday are not like I went through and handpicked 144 guys on where I thought they'd finish. It's a model driven deal. And so I've kind of changed the way I'm doing that this week, which I think will make a better sense. The feedback's been great on the article. Started about 6 weeks ago, really because of the community. I was just listening to the Slack and saw how many people struggled with just the basic process of a DFS golf week. And it, kind of just came together. Originally, it was going to start as kind of like a frequently asked question deal, and then I just kept going and going, and it turned into almost 11 pages. So it's more of a way longer. I don't even know if I wrote an MBA paper that long. So it's but I haven't heard one person really complain about it. I think it reads well. So we'll, hopefully people will pick up on that. But back to the question, Tiger's it. He's number one in my model. I'm actually glad, and I'll just say it now. I mean, I already released him as a bet. I think the line will move. 28-1 is ridiculous value.
It already has moved. Yep.
Yeah. So I released it to the community 3 hours ago, I think. So hopefully they got on it while it was there. If Tiger plays last week and makes the cut, just makes the cut, he's 14-1 this week. So although 28 is a number, 28 is not a number I normally jump all over, but for him, especially in a market where he normally drives prices, that's great value. And if that's any indication of people being scared in DraftKings, I'm all over it. I'll take the risk. I'll take the chance. We'll see. Obviously, we don't move the needle like Mayo and all those guys. Because last 2 weeks I faded JT and Day, and they both turned out to be correct. But they were still two of the high, and Rose, and two of the highest owned people. So obviously we don't move the needle enough, which is fine because the community gets advantage. But I normally Tiger would come in here and be very high owned. I don't think he will this week. So we'll see. I say high owned. He will be in your $5, $10, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm really interested to see that. The part two of that is Brooks is still right up there for me. And I think off a miscut, I'll play Brooks, but my lock is Tiger this week, and it's not even close.
Boom. He's my second highest owned golfer of the week, by the way.
Quit building your lineups on Monday.
Nope. Never gonna stop.
Read the process.
Well, I'll go in a different direction, I guess. I got DJ as my lock of the week. Coming off the win in Mexico, I'll go back to DJ. I was debating between DJ and Tiger, so I'm going to jump on the DJ wagon and see where it comes. He hasn't really ever played fantastic here. If he gets his approach game going here, he might have a chance. So if it does play longer, that obviously helps out DJ. And I think that score of 18 to 20 under, that's more of a score DJ I think likes instead of the more 8, 9, 10 under. Just plays more into him. And for DraftKings, he's going to give me a lot of birdies, hopefully. So
see, I'd take over under 14 right now, and I'd take under all day. I don't want people getting away from that
Sure.
think it could be low scoring. Now they're going to set some numbers out there Thursday and Friday, but I really think we got to monitor the weather and see how the weekend's going to play out. And I could be wrong. I mean, it could clear up just as easily, and then all of a sudden 20's in play, right? So because it's a gettable course, we all know that.
In that aspect, Gup, would you consider it similar to? It's not at all similar to Mexico in a type of course, but I'm saying like if the wind came up in Mexico, the score we were looking at a much lower score, right? And instead, DJ runs away at 20 because there was no wind.
Same as like Honda, right?
Yep.
So yep. No, I agree 100%. And that will factor when we come into Wednesday. If it looks like it's going to be stone cold nothing going into Sunday, and DJ's less than 10%, yes, I'm going to have some DJ. I'll play Tiger no matter what because he's in the model for this week and he can play in any condition. But there are certain guys that I'm going to be on or off depending on potential, scores and weather projections.
Cool. Thank you. Let's get into the flocks. Gup, why don't you go straight into the flocks then? Your 7K to 9.5K core guys that you're looking at.
And I do want to just mention, because I know this isn't the Masters, but it is kind of the first big week, and we may have a lot of new listeners. We don't typically on here go through 78 guys and like 27,000 of them and give. That's not our style. We have our format of throwing out several locks, flocks, kind of the core who we're fading, and then at the end we'll round table it, mention a couple other guys. It just gets too confusing when you hear so many names and so many different opinions. So we try to hit on a lot, but keep it condensed and down. And then that's really where we try to push the community where we're 24/7 on the Slack. We have the emergency 9. We each have our piece of article that deep dives in after this point, because it's still early in the week and there's no sense in coming on here Monday and listing 40% of the field and liking 35% of the guys. It doesn't do you much value as a listener. So for the new guys, I just kind of want to throw that out there. My locks my flocks this week, obviously I think with the pricing, which will be talked about in the community a lot, but I me, Ruvy, and both of you have been. I'm not a pricing guy. I could give two shits about pricing. Ultimately, it is what it is, right? We all have to play with the same pricing, but I think people are forgetting that Buck said it right off the bat. We got how many of the top 50? All of
the
them.
50th ranked player in the world right now is listed at $6,700 on DraftKings. So pricing is
I mean, but you have so many great guys that what do you expect DraftKings to do? And I'm not defending DraftKings by any means, but someone has to be down low and someone has to be, so it's and it's pretty typical with majors because it's such a strong field, and so it's just normal. And I get it. And there's a couple of guys that are mispriced, but they have to be. You can't nail it 100%. You got to have guys that are in the 7s or 6s because you wouldn't be able to build teams without it. So it is what it is, and you just got to kind of work around it. Having said that, I kind of mentioned it last night or maybe this morning about you got to avoid that Monday eye candy. So there's going to be guys that just look crazy because they're used to seeing them at 9 and now they're 74. Mm-hmm. And you got to put it in perspective to the field and the course and kind of take it all in before you start jumping on the eye candy. Like someone said last night, eye candy can get you in trouble in many different ways, not just DraftKings. But having said that, I kind of have 4 that I got picked out right now. One's Cantley. We know he can't putt. I played him here last year, and he did well. He's just an all-around good player. Obviously, if he struggles putting, he's going to be in. He's going to have trouble. But other than that, so outside of putting, he's top 8 in every single major category I'm looking at. He's top 8 in the 3 big ones. His approach is 36th. He's coming off a T6 and a T15. He was made top 25 the last 2 years out here. Just all around good talent. I don't like his betting number, but I do like him here. Another guy who I'm actually glad that he kind of coming back into form is Stinson. I do fear because of the 7,800 that he may be chalk. So we'll see how that rolls out. And that'll be a theme of the week is I'm going to have an A and a B kind of guy in almost every range as far as really, really close guys. But if Stinson's, 20% and a guy $200 below him or $100 above him or whatever is right there at half the ownership, I'm obviously going to fade that just because of pure ownership this week, because it's going to be key this week. Probably more than any week we've had this year, ownership's going to be. Third, I'm going to go back to RCB. I was kind of mad he came back on Sunday. I was hoping he'd fade away and kind of be quiet because I'm an RCB truther. I've been on him all year. I'll be back on him. I hope he's not too over, at 7,400, but I love him. And then kind of the guy I'm on that he's just great form. Finished 6th there in 2017. He made the cut last year and kind of faltered late. Across the board for the price, he's bang for your buck. One of the best in my model, and it's Lucas Glover. Just need to get a tracker on his wife, and then we're ready to go. But I expect him to be high owned. I don't know. He's 3rd in my overall model, so I really don't care at that point. That guy that high at 7,100, I'm going to have some of them, and he kind of rounds up my flocks for the week.
Bucks, how about you? I had to do some shifting here after what Gup just said because of. I'll get to it in a second, but go ahead, Bucks.
So the first guy I had was Patrick Cantlay as well. Love Cantlay this week. You got stats working for you. You got the course history kind of working for you. Really great ball striker. And he's just all around. We talked about it in the course breakdown. This course was built to test every facet of your game, and he's got it all covered. His putting has been suspect. I'll give him that. But overall, he's been driving the ball well. His iron game has been well. His wedge game has been on point. His par 5 scoring's been there. I mean, he's checking all of the boxes. And he's just one of those guys that you see him here between Webb and Moley and Fleetwood and Spieth, and you feel that he's going to get a little underlooked. And so I like Cantlay a bunch. The next guy that I am going to play quite a bit of this week, I think, is going to be Keegan Bradley. And does that bother the shit out of me? Yeah, it does, because I think he's made, again, 1,000 cuts in a row.
Since the U.S. Open, yep.
Yeah, but
garbage.
Gup is mad at him right now.
So mad.
Jesus Christ. Charity bet. Anyways, I think if you look at all the golfers in this event and you think about a guy that you feel fairly safe that can make the cut, is Keegan Bradley. Do I think that he's going to make a run up the leaderboard in the weekend? God, no. But he's going to contribute to my team, and at $7,400, I don't need him to finish top 5 to pay off. I need him to make the cut and give me some points on the weekend. Hopefully he doesn't shoot 80 on Saturday and get negative DraftKings points. So we'll just have to see. I do like Keegan. CH3, love him this week. Guy's been playing really, really well. He is first in greens and regs, second in bogey avoidance, and second in scrambling, and top 15 in DK points.
Is he the most consistent player on tour the last 20 years?
20, probably. I mean, a no-namer, like outside of
a guy that doesn't win.
Yeah, he's up there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So CH3, I really like him. Bonus, my fourth guy that I'm not going to list out 10 different guys, is going to be Glover. So
this is where I wish I could show you my paper right here. I have written down Cantlay as my number 1 for core. So, and then my number 2 was Glover.
Sweet.
So I'll just get to my number 3 since we covered those first 2. My number 3 is Mark Leishman. I was on him last weekend as a core. And he did very well for how much he was owned. He double bogeyed the last hole. What's that?
He's crazy value for that price.
Yeah, he's a great value for his price on DraftKings. I really like him a lot. He did gain 13 more strokes putting this time than he did in Mexico, so it was a positive 4.5. So instead of a negative 9.5. So Leishman at his price, I really like him on this course. For that price. The fourth one, I guess, if I had to mention one, since the other first 2 were covered, I'm really interested in Jon Rahm. He's at the top of that threshold for core play. His pricing is he's an elite player, I feel, but 9,500. He has played 7 rounds here. On Saturday, both times he's played here, he shot an 81 or something like that, and a 77. So the other rounds he hasn't shot worse than 72. So 5 of his 7 rounds he hasn't shot worse than 72 here. For some reason the Saturdays have both killed him. He got MDF one year. That was his rookie year. But a quick stat about Glover that actually Hatchman told me, Phil Hatchman. Glover has shot 2 rounds over par this year. 2 the whole year. One of them was at Phoenix. Everybody was on him.
He's been nasty.
Let's get into this week's flops. Bucks, why don't you give us your 2 flops of the week? Guys that did not return value, you don't think?
Yeah, so this was this is really tough this week just because of A, the field's stacked, and B, the pricing's fairly soft. So it's hard to kind of identify guys because you want to immediately go up top and find guys that you think players should avoid. So the first guy that I would go with is going to be Justin Thomas. And that scares me to say that because he was, when I initially ran the model and looked at the course and thought about guys that I thought fit that mold, he was top 3 for me. So it was like Rory, Tiger, Justin Thomas. And so it pains me to say that, but things just don't seem right with him right now. And I don't know if it's lingering issues from the Honda or whatnot, but normally the dude is just a beast when it comes to iron play, strokes gained approach, and it just hasn't been there recently. And if I'm playing a guy that's 11-1, second highest priced guy in the field, I can't really have, unless I'm playing 150 lineups, if I'm playing a cash game or if I'm playing 3-max or single entry, I need to have confidence that my guys are going to play. And if I'm doing a single entry, I'm not going to take a Justin Thomas. I'm not going to take a Jason Day. I'm probably not going to take Tiger in a single entry, just for the fact that if there's any injury concern whatsoever, I'm probably not going to play him. And so Justin Thomas for me is going to be my first flop, just because if he has any injury whatsoever, I don't think he pays that. Second guy is a guy that I've heard people mention on Twitter already, and that's Noren at $7,500. I'm not a fan. I love a lot of pieces around him, but he literally doesn't rank in the top 25 in any of my stats. And so I'm going to avoid him and move to a Poulter, a Leishman, a Billy Ho, a Keegan, that kind of thing.
Gup, how about you?
Yeah, so I agree with Bucks a little bit on you want to go up top and say who's the guy, but
yeah,
some of that because DJ and JT don't really rank out well as far as value return, but I caution on doing that because I also state that, and we all know this and we all believe it, that elite guys can show up any given week, no matter form, history, doesn't really matter. If they're on, they're elite for a reason. So it's a real fine line there. Now, my number one's fairly easy for me, and it's Finau. A DFS darling. I don't know if he'll continue that. I expect him to at 8,400. Typically he comes into when he does, he's always in pretty good form, and he's just really not. He's just been average, maybe a little above average. The stats I'm looking at, he's not great at all. His best ranking in any stat is 35th for me. He's missed 2 cuts here with the T57 last year. So I just don't really like him this week, and I expect to be a little higher. Not crazy high. The ownership's going to be pretty split out because of the field, but just a spot I think I can take. He's a pretty familiar name. The next guy is a guy I was on last week as a fade, and I'm going to go right back to him, and it's Rose. Price-wise, I just don't want to go there. Still don't know how comfortable he is with the clubs. I don't know if he's 1 or 2 yet. I haven't looked at the OWGR this week, but top 2 or 3 in the world. So your casual guys will come in, and that's kind of where they'll lean towards. Getting a decent price break from the guys up top. I mean, not huge, but I mean, besides Brooks, he's the next cheapest above 10,000. So I think a lot of guys will flock there. I'll just take that and fade it. The other guy, you kind of mentioned him earlier, Ruvy, is Rahm, and it's not my deal with Rahm, like a Rahm and a Hatton and these guys that these kind of courses that can put you on tilt quick. I worry about, which has proven true for Rahm, right? He's had great rounds going, and then now if he doesn't get put on tilt, he can win the tournament. So he's a tough one for me, but I wouldn't say fade, but I'm definitely going to monitor kind of where he's still top 25 in my model and everything, but he's a guy that I just get worried about when I'm looking at, if I'm doing a tiebreaker and I go, one I got later is Bubba or Hatton, and very close and everything, but Bubba, I think just calmer mentality, and Hatton, we saw it last week and get triggered quick, and so I kind of, that's a factor to me.
That was great though.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't hate him. I mean, hell, I've been like, Bucks has seen it in person. I'm not saying I'm not calm on the course, but
I've had to get knee deep in water to find your fucking 8-iron.
I don't, I've worked on it. So I definitely, a lot calmer now than I have been, in years past, but I still, and I think Rom's gotten better. Hatton, not so much. But Rom's got to learn to do, because you're going to have things go against you. And especially in these big tournaments, when he starts trying to win majors, and he's going to have to get it under control.
Next time I pick someone that's just dreadful, I'm going to look at you guys and say, that was the worst effing pick ever, right? And you're going to be like, I don't know. I'm like, no, answer the question. You're going to be like, yes, it was.
Yes.
No, Rom, I have to preface that a little bit with the fact that I obviously have a Rom, gets my blood going pretty good to the tune of JJ Spawn.
Boner.
Yeah. I got a Rom boner. No doubt about it. So I should have prefaced that earlier. My first guy that I'm on the flops is Louis Oosthuizen at 7,800. He doesn't rank in the top 55 of any of my categories. He's just been not very good. He always has that withdrawal potential in him too. And I have it written down again on this one. So I'm not copying yours, Gut, but I do have Tony Finau written down as well at 8,400. The guys surrounding them is where I kind of came in. The guys surrounding each of them just popped a lot better for me, and I just feel more comfortable with the guys around them. So at their price level, I just didn't think that they were going to come back and give me the value that I would expect from that price, 8,400 and 7,800. So let's get into this week's sleeper. Gup, guy below 7K that gives you the feelings that Rom gives me.
Yeah, so the first one is kind of he's there, but he's really there if he makes a cut and we get a little bit of nasty kind of weather. And I saw it in person a few weeks ago, and it's Ryan Palmer. 6,600. If he makes the cut, I think he'll do well on the weekend, especially if he get a little nasty wetness, wind, whatever. He West Texas boy. Actually played at UNT and Denton for a while, up where I used to live, and then an Aggie. So, obviously a T4 at the Honda. He's hit or miss here. he's made 3 cuts, 23rd, 59th, and then a missed cut in 15 and 17. So when he showed up, he's done, for 6,600, he's done all right. Stat model, he got several that he's top 20. Putting, he's okay on my putting model, just average. But for the price, I'm willing to take a risk. My second guy is Kevin Na. Talk about tilt, but
going for that club switch this week. Switch to Callaway.
He's 6,700. In my rolling putt model, speaking of that, he's 9th. Missed the cut last week, obviously. He's way up and down here. He's got a 38th, a 6th, a cut, a withdrawal, a 46. So if he finishes the tournament, he's done well. So, other than that, it's kind of hit or miss. But 2 top 35s coming in to the API, and then kind of missed the cut there at the end. Pretty decent in my stat model. Again, you're not going to have a perfect guy when you're down here looking at, below 7,000. And then also I'm kind of factoring in, there's a lot of great plays, which I'm sure we'll get to in a little bit, under 7,000. They're going to be, and what I feel is going to be a heavily stars and scrub type of deal. So I think there's going to be a lot of more in play under 7,000. So I'm trying to find the guys that may not pop right off the bat with some of the bigger names that are down there.
And Bucks, how about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna give a few names because I think this area is loaded this week. First is gonna be Jason Kokrak. Been on this dude all year long. Guy's been playing his mind off for the majority of the year. He is top 5 in my stat model, rolling report top 5. Really like the guy, the way that he's playing right now. I did have Ryan Palmer down. Love him this week. I really, really like this course fit for him. As long as he can avoid that big number, he should be there. The last guy, I'll just say Varner. I'm going to be on Varner every week, pretty much. But the one guy that I really, really like, and this is a guy that I've mentioned on the pod several times over the last month or so, and I've had in the write-ups, is Sung Kang. Sung Kang has been playing really solid golf, culminating last week to, I think, a top 10 last week. And so seeing Sung Kang at $6,000 on DraftKings was a welcome sight for me. Because it doesn't matter how good you are. If you're priced at $6K, you are going to be avoided. And so I think at $6K, he is an incredibly good value play. Gives you a lot of salary to work with up top. But he is top 25 in my model as well.
Can they ever give me JJ Spawn at 6K? That would be nice.
He should be 6K.
He made the cut last week. My two guys both showed out really well at API. I feel like I've been tweeting at Hatchman way too much because I'm starting to get some of his. So I'm liking Benny on at 6,800 again.
Yeah, congrats to Hatchman for winning the Benny on sweepstakes last week.
He did.
How
I think
cool is that?
A lot of people had a help in that, and I think he's really appreciative of that, obviously. But congrats to him. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I know he's going to be the one that
tweeting at Benny on.
Yeah, he's going to be the one that really takes that seriously, and that's awesome. That's so cool. I'm really jealous. I'm not gonna lie. And the second
get your
guy,
boy JJ, to start some sort of Twitter poll. Get his dirty underwear or something.
I just got to talk to his dad apparently again. Except I wish he would have made the cut at the Farmers. And then I would have got his underwear. The last guy is Sung JM again. He played. The dude's a tee to green monster. Yeah. He hasn't lost strokes tee to green since the Sanderson Farms. Every time he's gaining strokes tee to green. He gained 8.1 last week. His approach game is great. I mean, he's a very good player.
So what's holding him back?
What's holding him back?
Yeah.
Last week he was fine in every aspect except off the tee. He lost 0.9 only. But last week was 2.5 gained around the green, 2.2 on putting. I think
finished third.
Yeah, he finished third. That's pretty good. The guy has 2 top 10s, I think, this year. 2 top 10s in his last 5 events. That's pretty good.
I mean, all the guys you've mentioned, I have on my later round. I mean, the reason I didn't say them is because everybody's going to be on. I have a feeling these guys, everybody's going to be on when you start jumping down there. So definitely like all of them.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I will have obviously the Rubies out later this week, but tomorrow. But let's get into the head-to-head picks for this week. Let's go a little roundtable. We'll start with you, Bucks, on this one, and we'll go to
let me say something real quick. I do want to say this is a week, and Sung Kang's one of them that kind of sticks us out on my model rankings. The bet versus DK column typically will show a few, darlings, but because any week the pricing comes out early, that column is a big key to me because the betting market will adjust. And DraftKings can't, right? They're stuck. I don't remember when the pricing came out. Was it Saturday night or Sunday morning? Or we had family friends in from out of town, so I wasn't paying. But so this is a week. So Sung K is a plus minus 73, which is unheard of in bet versus DK market. And the reason being is typically, in my opinion, DraftKings factors in the betting market in their algorithm. And so obviously putting the pricing out early for these big majors and stuff, they don't do it, or they can, but they have to guess. And then also the betting market always adjusts, right? And so you'll see in that column this week on my rankings that there are some really good guys. So Ralph is one, right? RCB, that Kokrak, as Bucks mentioned. Keith Mitchell is another one. So he stays on a hitter or a heater. Matt Wallace plus minus 45. So these guys that really perform well are kind of hot in the betting market. And DraftKings priced them before the tournament was over. That's a key column for me this week to keep an eye on. It's not factored into my model at all, but it's something I have in there and I wanted to explain it because I get a lot of questions on what does that mean. And so this is a good week to look at it to say, who can I get some value on when you're looking at the betting versus the DraftKings pricing?
Thanks. Let's get into the head-to-head picks then. We'll start with you, Bucks, and Gup, you can answer second on these. Sergio versus Rom, the Spaniards. Bucks.
Sergio by a mile.
Ooh, Gup.
Ditto. Released Sergio a few weeks ago to win the Masters. Very, very high on him still. I think he's even closer now. I don't know what his Masters odds are. I released it when they went back up. I think 3 or 4 weeks ago, or it was right after the beat in the sand bunker incident.
Saudi Arabia.
That I got back on him. I was on him when he won the Masters, so would love to kind of see that repeat. But he's top 14 in my model. I think he's coming right into that form like he was the year he won it. I'll take Sergio all day.
All right, I guess I'm on an island there. Rom. Molinari versus Webb. Bucks.
Oh man, the
winner last year versus the winner last week.
I want to snap call and say Webb, because it's so hard to win back to back on tour. But last year we saw several guys, but Molinari too, just get on these heaters that were just insane. And so I think both are the same type of player. But it's a virtual tiebreaker for me. So the only thing that I'll say is I'm going to go Webb just because I don't like going back to back on a guy trying to win.
Yep.
Yeah, but very coin flippy-ish type. Now, Molinari is second in my model, but I know he's going to be uber owned this week. Betting-wise, I'd take Webb all day because he's 28 points better, 50-1 to 22-1 for Molly. Molly missed a cut here last year, but had 3 top 7s before that. If I'm purely just looking at statistics, model, all that, I go Molinari. If I'm doing a leverage play, it's definitely Webb, not even close.
I'll go Molinari. Once again, Island, I guess. I like both though, but
they're very
Cam versus Ian Poulter. This was the first and second 2 years ago, right?
Ian Poulter for me. I really like him this week. Loves this course. Been playing out of his mind lately. So as long as he can avoid the Shankopotamus or two, I think he's in store for another big week.
Gup?
Yeah, Poulter's in my player pool. I think that wasn't this the course where he went really conservative to finish in a certain place a couple years ago?
He got second to Siwoo Kim, actually.
Oh yeah, but that round, like many felt that he was very conservative off the tee box the last couple of rounds because he had to finish like top 5 or something to get
his card.
Yeah, whatever. But I like him as well. What is 7,600 something like that? I'm on Poulter right now. He's in the first cut of the player pool, so he's there.
I'm actually going to go Siwoo Kim, and I do like Poulter, but Kim was very popular pick last week, coming off back-to-back top 4s. And then he took a little break. He still gained on approach. He actually did better on approach than he did the times before. He lost 6 strokes putting. So I do like both, but I will take Siwoo Kim because he does like Pete Dye courses.
If Ruvy wins a bunch of money this week, I know I'm broke as shit because
well, that's the weird thing is though we were on a lot of the same guys in the flock
earlier. Yep, that's true.
So.
Hey, Gut.
Yep.
This is one of those weeks we're on some of the same guys.
We are. I've noted. I've made notes.
Yeah.
I've made notes.
You should just take that sound bit, JB, that we're on the same guys this week.
Hey, God, it was a little lovingly.
Because we only do it about 4 times a year, but those 4 times are 6-figure weekends. So
for Gut, not me. For Gut.
All righty. Leishman or Woodland, Bucks?
This was a good one. I like both, but I really like Woodland this week. I think he's going underlooked, and I think he'll be underowned. I think he's just in a weird spot. I think a lot of people are going to like that high 6, low 7 range, and then you have a lot of people stacking up top in the mid 8s, and it's gonna be tough for guys to find the 74 to 7,600 range. But dude's super consistent. When you look at this golf course, you need to put it in good position off the tee. With the rough being down, you can be a little longer as well. The dude's one of the best drivers of the golf ball on the planet. He's going to have some wedges into these greens. He has the length to handle the long par fours, and he's a good par five scorer. So I really, really like Woodland this week. It's not saying I don't like Leishman, but Woodland is top 5 in ball striking, top 10 in greens and regulation for me, and that's the kicker.
Gup?
Yeah, Woodland's not really close to me. I'm the complete fade of Mr. Mark all week.
I know that I did have Leishman in my core. If I was just going off my stats, though, Woodland is higher, like you said, Gup, but it's kind of a tiebreaker to me, to be honest. So kind of a toss-up. Pick one for me, I guess. I don't want to be opposite on every one of them, you guys. This is making me feel bad.
I do think Woodland may be higher owned, being that cheap. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that. I'd fade him at a high ownership, but he's definitely in my pool as of now.
Alrighty, Hatton or Bubba? This is what you talked about earlier, Gup. But Bucks, why don't you lead us off?
What is neither, Bob? Like, I don't want any piece of either of these guys. Like, not one iota. But Bubba, if I had to choose one, I'd go Bubba. Just for pure potential. But even Bubba, like, I'm going to watch him. His first hole, he's going to be on the green and leave it 6 feet short and start talking to his ball. I can't do it. I can't watch him. I'm out.
Gup?
Yeah, right now they're both on the outside looking in for me, but I would go Bubba if I had to choose.
Same for me, actually.
I
don't have any of them, but
what's his odds? Betting odds. Lock him in now.
Bubba's 70 and Hatton's 100.
Lock Bubba in 70 to 1.
I think I know where we're all going on this one. We probably don't need to cover it, but Willett has been playing better, and a lot of people are on him. But Willett versus Glover, are we all on Glover?
Team Glover.
Yep,
Glover.
All righty. Sung JM versus Keith Mitchell. Hot versus just kind of hot. Who do you like, Bucks?
This is tough. I would go Sung Jae though. I would go Sung Jae. I think he's a better all-around player, to be honest with you.
Yep. Cup?
Yeah, they're really close in the model this week. I would lean Sung Jae, A, because I've been on him most of the year, but B, in a week like this where you're bringing in a lot of public and a lot of not as in-depth golf people, they'll roll up and see that Keith won 2 weeks ago, then a sixth, and they probably can't even say Sung Jae. So not that I can't say very many names correctly, but I can say Sung Jae.
You did that one good, yeah.
So I would lean Sung Jae, especially if I'm in that $5 to $20 range, looking at MME type contest. Neither one will probably make. Well, I don't know. Sung Jae, I really think is going to win out of nowhere. And you almost did it last week, but I love Keith. I released Keith this morning for a major, to the community. I won't really say which one, but I like Keith, and if he's going to continue the putting streak, he's as good as many on the tour, because that was always his weakness. But if I had right now, I'd expect him to be way higher owned than Sung Jae, so I'd go Sung Jae.
And obviously, Sung Jae is kind of my guy now too, as well, since the beginning of the year. I thought if you had to, this is where I was wrong, but if you had to ask me at the beginning of the year who would win first, Sung Jae or Keith Mitchell, I would have said Sung Jae. So, just based off the way he dominated.
Your article is well written at the beginning of the year on him. I personally got to talk with him Tuesday at the Byron last year. Many know that Bodo took me out there. And so, to kind of see the course, check it out, because it was the first year that they'd played it ever. And he was on the putting green. Very nice guy, just casual talk, nothing, but really liked his demeanor and his, kind of his focus. And I think I talked about it the next week on the pod, but I really became to like him in general. And since then I've liked his game, and so I have nothing against him by any means, and I hope he continues a heater for many months to come, for sure.
Yep. Wrap up now. Go around, talk about 2 or 3 guys you want to talk about that we didn't really mention much. Bucks, why don't you lead us off?
Man, why'd you send it to Bucks first every single time tonight?
I'm saving the best for last for you. Saving
Yeah.
the best for last.
Yeah, shut your pie hole, gut.
Sloppy seconds here.
I did have you written down as going first. That's my bad. Yeah.
No,
At least I got your name right this week.
For once.
Yeah, you know, we talked about a lot of the guys that I wanted to. The first guy that I think fits this court, he does not pop on my stat model, but I think his game fits this course in that same type of web type mold as Billy Horschel. At $7,400, I do like Billy there, which means I like the majority of that sub 7,500 range. And then the last guy that we haven't mentioned, and it's not because I like him or don't like him, but what are your guys' thoughts on Spieth?
We haven't mentioned him.
I know. What are your thoughts on Spieth?
I mean, I thought it would be too easy to put him at 8,900 as my flop of the week.
I think he's going to surprise people this week.
Yeah, he will.
I'm going to have virtually 0 of him, but I think he top 15s this week, and I am losing money
I mean,
because I'm not going to play him.
Form, I assume, before the Masters. But Gup, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if you think he tops 15, then you should be playing him a lot. But I said it before, and this is a week where I'll entertain definitely MMEs. And if he's going to be 5 or 6%, I'm not an idiot. I'll play him at least level to the field. I kind of talked about that, and he's still in that category of elite. I don't even know. I mean, the 55-1 or whatever his betting doesn't appeal to me as much as now I'm getting him sub 9,000 at 5%. I mean, I'll take 5 or 6% of them. Now, if I'm doing a 3 max up in the, whatever higher dollars, I don't think I'm ready to go that route. But if you're building 10 plus lineups, you should have at least one, 1 equals 10%, 20 lineups, 2, 1 to 2, you're double the field. So it's asinine not to put him in there. Do I want to play him? He's dead effing last in my model in that price range, but that just goes back to kind of the elite type of deal. He's been away for, kind of off the scene for a second. So I definitely would be you into the field if I was going to enter 10 or more lineups.
I think he goes back into your, on a lesser level maybe, but he blows up too mentally.
Sure.
Like Rahm does and like Hatton.
Sure.
And so
yes,
on this course, I think he's done it actually. Yeah. I think last year or 2 years ago. But yeah, I don't have any plans to play him yet, but he could sneak in, I guess, if the ownership is really down. Gup, how about you?
Yeah, so I mean, some of them have been mentioned. Day was one of them. We didn't really talk about the whole back deal last week and Disney World and whatever else you want to talk about. You can go to Twitter to kind of check out all that if you'd like. I don't like harping on that kind of stuff because it wasn't matter at the end of the day. I mean, if you play guys like that, it wasn't a bad play. Obviously, it was very highly owned. But to bitch and complain about them withdrawing, like, get over yourself, right? It's a risk you take when you're playing golf, DFS, anything, right? No different than, having, Melvin Gordon and in the, third snap of the game, he twists his knee and he's out. Tough shit. It's unlucky and you're done.
Got to go after the Chargers.
Well, I just remember, I think I had him that week.
I know. He did it. You're right.
It is what it is. Looked like he was back today. And the one thing I didn't like was the way it was portrayed with the tweet or whatever. It made it seem like he was well aware of how bad it was. And so, which is fine. And if you're going to try to push and play, and we're, we know a few guys on tour and there's no risk for them to go out there and play. There's no union, there's no health. I mean, there's no hip, they don't have to disclose it. And so if they go out there and can't swing it after 6 holes, it's not like the NFL type of deal where there's a disclosure deal where you have to talk about it. So it is what it is. And an injury report's not going to help it at all because all it's going to do is make people panic even more when they see 17 guys, have injuries that really doesn't matter in golf. And so I don't know if it's an advantage or not, and then he shows up potentially at Disney World, and then now he's fine today. After the release, it kind of didn't come off well, I guess. But that's day, right? We've been there before.
The shit that pissed me off was if you're injured, fine. Like, it happens. That's part of golf, man. Like, right. It's terrible for your body, on your back, your knees. But if you come out and say that you are having problems walking and you WD because you have a back injury, and then you go ride roller coasters at Disney for an entire day. I mean, how bad is it? I mean, honestly.
And there's I don't know if there's any proof of the road. I don't care about the Disney deal. It's just that he's up at Monday morning at 8 a.m. back on the course. That was a part that was kind of like, well, what's the real reason? Then if I give a shit about Disney, like if he didn't show up this week, then it is what it is. Go to Disney with your friends. But now not only is he out there, he's one of the first ones out there this morning. So it's just made it come off bad, but the ultimate picture, but he's going to be interesting this week, right? It's kind of like, I had, I think 20, 30% of them 2 years ago when we went to Torrey, and I think it was 2 years ago and then all of a sudden he didn't play in the Pro-Am or something Wednesday with his back.
2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, and completely went off of it, and he wins, right? But on the flip side, last year at Augusta, Bucks and I are there, and that's one thing. But yeah, both scenarios. Finau breaks his ankle, and then T5's the place. But we physically saw Garcia struggling, and then had the wrist tape, and came on that night, went Periscope, and said 100% off of him now. And he, now the one hole didn't help, but either whatever it is, his wrist was hurt. So it can go both ways. You just kind of take it. The other guy that's right up there, great history here, obviously shaky with the putter, is Adam Scott. I don't think we really mentioned him.
Did not.
He's on my list to kind of take an eye at. Guy was on big last week, was in my main lineup, Fleetwood.
We didn't mention him either, yeah.
Yeah, kind of reminded me a little bit of Ricky in the sense that one round kind of falls off, but everything else is great. Had him in Showdown Sunday, kind of felt after the crap round Saturday he was going to turn it back on. He did. Great ball striker, definitely in form. So don't mind him here. Kokrak was one of them, so I'll skip him. But the last one that really kind of under 7K may kind of go under the radar is Knox, Russell Knox. I really kind of like where his game's coming in, 6,900. And that range where he's at, I don't see him being looked at very much at all. So potential sleeper there, as a round table wrap up.
Oh, Gup.
Couple guys I want to mention that we haven't really talked about. They're trending to be kind of popular, I think, at this point. But Xander ranks really high. He had a good finish here last year. I'll be interested to see where his ownership ends up, and I do like him at this point, but I'll monitor him. Paul Casey's another one. I think that his price at 7,900, I think he's going to be super popular, but he ranks super high in my rankings, over the last 4, 8, 12, 24 rounds. So Paul Casey's one that I really want to
both of my top 10.
Yeah, he's up there.
I expect Casey to be chalk at his price as opposed to that 9,000 is just gonna be weird this week and you can't put them in your flock, right? Because you can't fit 6 guys in the 9,500. So exactly. Xander's there. He's number 11 on model. Love him. It leads yourself to wanting to build some MME so you can get who you like in there. But I agree with both those.
Yep. And then the only one that I want to mention was this dude was number 1 in approach last week at API. Do you know who it was?
I don't.
Chesson Hadley. Did you watch him on the 6th hole the one day?
Yeah,
I did.
He hit the 5th. He was hitting his 5th shot from the tee box. That hurt him bad, but the rest of his game wasn't that bad. So Chesson Hadley, he had an 11th place here last year too. That's an interesting name to watch as well. I know that Kenny Kim mentioned him as well. So I don't want to just say I got that out of nowhere, but Kenny Kim did mention him. So unless you guys got anything else, let's get into the betting side of things.
Let's get into the betting.
All righty. Buck scared the bookie last week with his big bet on Kisner, but Gup, do you like anything? I'm going to go to you first, Gup. Anything below 40-1? I know you already put out Tiger.
Yeah, Tiger. That's it. I've already bet it. I won't have anybody else under. So kind of hammered.
And Bucks, anybody for you?
Yeah, I would go Garcia or Day. Both are right around that 40 mark for me. But I do like Tiger at 28. I know you're not getting it anymore at that price, but outside of Tiger, Garcia and Day.
All righty. Yeah, I wish I would have got the Tiger 28. I wasn't paying attention much, obviously. So, yeah, I guess that would be Tiger is still at 22. So, I mean, it's not terrible. I don't know if you're ever going to get a number like that again. If Tiger wins, what's he going to be, 10-1 every time?
Never.
Yeah, so all righty. How about 45-75, Gup?
Glover's there.
Yep.
Stinson's there. RCB is there. And there was two guys I didn't mention the roundup because I was saving them for betting, although you mentioned one of them. But the first one is Kuchar.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about him.
He's there. He's going to be on my mind for DraftKings, top 20 overall. Very solid history here. 4 out of 5 cuts made. I like him. Obviously, I don't go under 30 a whole lot. So going Tiger and a little bit heavier than normal is going to change the way I approach the card. I don't know if I can get Kuchar in or not. I'll kind of play that out in my mind over the next, before I release the full card tomorrow. But Kuchar's there. All these guys are right there in the 4 I mentioned in that area I like.
Bucks?
Yeah, Glover and CH3 are the two that I would target here.
I had Glover highlight as well, and I like what you're thinking on the other ones there, Gup. Also, I did have Siwoo Kim highlighted at 70-1 right now. We'll see if I pull the trigger on that, but 80-120, Gup. What are you looking at?
So I like Bucks mentioned him earlier, Billy Ho. He's been very consistent, very solid. If he puts it all together for 4 rounds, he can win this, right? So 80-1, I think is what he was at earlier.
Yep, still is.
Yeah, Kokrak, obviously been mentioned plenty. I don't think this guy's been mentioned here. I'm sure he will be, in the industry. Luke List is a guy, I believe 100-1 when we went on. Definitely don't mind him. Killer Keith back at 100-1. I kind of think that's just can he continue the hot streak? Is it worth it? I don't know, but at that price, given his talent, when guys aren't, Bucks mentioned it earlier, and Bucks has played a lot more competitive golf than I have. But when you get on a heater, I mean, you get 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row where everything just fucking seems to go in. And I forgot about that.
You're fine.
But
you're fine.
And so he's money. And if he's putting, gaining strokes putting, I mean, like I said earlier, he's there. And so 100-1 seems like great value to me. And the last one you mentioned, but Sung Jae was 110 is what I saw earlier.
I've got him still at 100, so he might have been 110.
Okay, yeah. So right there, still triple figure pay. I think he's going to win on tour. I kind of agreed with you in your article preseason. In this, I mean, he's coming in great form. So I hadn't played it, so that kind of worries me a little bit, but not much. He hasn't played a lot of places and done well, so he's potentially on my card for tomorrow.
Bucks?
Kokrak. That's it. I like him at 110 or something, so I like it.
I had List highlighted, and Benny On is number 50 in the world, and he's 100-1. So just going off the world rankings, that seems like good value, to be honest, at 100-1. He's not he hasn't won yet, so and I also had Sung Jae highlighted. So all right, how about the bombs? Bigger than that. What do you got, Gup?
Yeah, I mean, so you look at historically, and this has been an area that's in play, right? Especially at this course. My boy Adon hit Siwoo here 2 years ago. I think he doubled up on it, 750-1 and 650-1. So this is a part that's one of the reasons I went on Tiger and went better than most of the time I do, is that you can go heavy up top with 2 or 3 plays, then just drop to 6 figures or below and take some chances and balance out your card. The 4 I have right now is CT Pan 250 to 1, Brendan Grace 150 to 1, Sam Ryder at 300 to 1, which I will bet that. I think he's got talent that he's kind of not Siwoo-ish, but I mean, he's slowly been putting it together and could show up here and win. And the last one was a guy you mentioned earlier. It's why I left it off the round table is Hadley. Watched a lot of his round last week. He's 150 to 1. Definitely in my first cut of player pool, he made it. We know my love-hate with Mr. Chesson. He's still responsible for my biggest potential loss ever in DraftKings with the epic Friday back nine collapse. So anytime I go on him, I tell everybody to scramble because I don't seem to get him right ever. But he's there. I mean, he hits everything I'm looking at. I definitely like him in DraftKings. I may just bet him so I don't have to go DraftKings route and I can have a positive week. But I like the number for sure, especially on like these guys. If you're in the, I didn't realize how many people we have that have each ways, but we have quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Those kind of guys, I'd be all over the each way.
Yeah, Chesson's even 200 on Bovada. So
yeah, I mean, I would be all over that stuff. And when top fives come out, I'm gonna take a look at it. One thing about betting this week, I will mention, I believe I've heard rumors that they are going to have the make cut, miscut stuff for this week, as they do for most of the majors. So I'm kind of holding off because I like to do some of those parlays and look at that stuff and change up the card a little bit. So I'll be interested to see if they have some of those options. Potentially having, if you remember last year, a lot of the books started having the over-under score for the round. So, Tiger over-under 73 or, so some of those major type fills I think may come into play this week. So I want to go a little conservative going out until I kind of see what some of the offerings we're going to get on the books.
Bucks, how about you?
Yeah, I was looking at this earlier. Really, there's not too much I dig deep, but CT Pan, Sung Kang, and Harold Varner 225 are the three that I would target.
Yeah, I did the Chesson at 200 on Bovada, so I like that one. I also like the one good thing about Bovada is they have top 20 odds, so you're obviously not getting great value, but plus 550 on Chesson at top 20. I like that one as well. And then obviously it's an auto bet for me, but 400 to 1 on Spawn plus a top 20 at 10 to 1.
Is he in the field this week?
He is.
Oh, nice.
400 to 1. 10 to 1 on top 20. 400 to 1. I mean, take my $5. That's fine.
I was just messing with you.
I know you are, and I need to put a first round bet leader on him at least because I think he has a better shot at a first round leader. But I need to, yeah. It's just it's a nice little deposit to get excited for 4 holes. So I don't have. Let's see what else we got going there. Oh yeah, one and done standings. Bucks, you had a pretty good week because of the Jason Day withdrawal. You got your backup. RCB.
Yes.
1.92 million. Gup still at 468. And like a numbskull, I used Rory before, so I had to switch. So I used Leishman, 1.57. I'm not using a guy I used. I promise this time. I looked at the wrong line last time. I wrote it down this time. So Bucks, who are you picking this week?
Oh, man. I am going to use Tiger Woods.
Gup.
Tiger was already on my list, so he is in.
Alrighty.
Thanks for going to me first, Ruvy. I appreciate that.
You guys should both use the same one. That's okay. Gup's got the $3 million lead right now.
Not for a
I'm
while.
gonna try,
which is a lesson to the guys. I mean, I've miscut the last 2, and I'm still 25th. So
yep. And same with mine. That's in 21st. I miscut the last 2. I actually had the exact same guys as you. One of them was Day though, and he withdrew, so I got kept.
You're the asshole that jinxed me. It's good. Please don't.
I had Day, and I had Kepka as my backup because I didn't even think I'd use the backup, so I just clicked a random person.
Oh, there you go.
I had Molinari as one of my backups, which was really cool. I wish it was been in that lineup. But I'll use DJ in this one. I haven't used him yet. I'll use him. I wanted to give a quick shout out because it was the end of the GC Cup. So the winners of the GC Cup in the Woods division was Jim Clare, Nicholas division, Mr. D. Lowe. Palmer division was Patriots fan 1230, and then the Hogan division was Suburban Daddy. So congrats to those guys. That's a pretty good win, first segment win. Wednesday night we'll have the E9 chat on gupscorner.com. Become a premium member and get a part of that. It's pretty awesome. 9 Eastern Wednesday night. You must be a member to join that chat. It's pretty awesome. You can also get in the Slack, which is going all week. It's great. Gup, I want to give you the floor now to announce the winners of the subscription deal and any other things that you want to get into. So, Gup, take it away.
Yeah, many ask why we don't just stay in the Slack Wednesday night. The main reason for that right now is it allows me to focus in a room. But the biggest reason is so many guys can't make it at that exact time. And so that hour that I dedicate, 45 minutes or so to an hour, depending on the week, can get everybody in the same place, same time. But the biggest reason is we can transcript it. So we can, every week I'll export it right afterwards. And so guys can come in there later in the night or early in the morning, whenever they're doing the research, and see what all was said. And then I post the ownerships. I used to post them after, but now that I learned that we have people in other time zones, cause I'm not really, that's new to me, just understand, which I feel bad now that, I don't realize that guys are 7 hours away. And so when I release an ownership at 9 p.m. to them, it kind of screws them. So I started putting it out, 5 or 6, so that's why we do that now. And so, but it's been positive. Everybody likes it. Kind of a different deal than the Slack. Again, Blue Jack is, we're going to announce it Sunday night after the Masters. If you're new listening, between now and that Sunday night, you can join for $6.99 a month or $69 a year, or $129 locks you in for 2 years. Whichever plan you join in, you're locked in for life as long as you don't cancel. If you cancel and join back up before that Sunday, yes, it still counts, right? I've had that question. I don't really know why you do that, but if you do, you're still in. And if you do the 2 year, you get 2 entries. Annual, you get an entry. Monthly, nothing. And then that night we'll draw one guy out, or girl, to join Bucks Moose, who's the founder of Fantasy National, which is an exclusive partner of ours, and myself at Blue Jack National, which is Tiger Woods course north of Houston. There's links on the site. There's links in the weekly email. Going to be a terrific time. Someone's going to have an awesome time for $69 a year. The Grand Slam Challenge starts this week. The deadline's already passed, obviously. I've had a lot of people, I'm sure, email JB. I know I had 10 or 20 already today. Guys, a year ago I could have felt bad, but and I'm not bragging on us. We're nothing in the industry compared to some of the giants. But between the amount of followers I have and the community has, and emails and blasts, and there's 20,000 different ways to get notified of this stuff. So if you miss deadline, we hate it. It sucks, but there's really no excuse. The rare instance that you just found out about us this morning, I'd feel terrible for you, but we are going to have more contests coming. We're going to have a March Madness. Kind of did a different model last year called the Bracketless Challenge, and it actually blew us away how many people was interested. Was a great turnout. So pay attention to that. It's really simple compared to filling out an entire bracket. A little bit different philosophy. So look forward to that. Even though this is a golf deal, but everybody loves playing March Madness. So that'll be cool. But don't take it out on us, or if you missed it, I get it. There's 1,000 excuses in there. I'll tell you, my wife missed it. I told her this morning, I was like, tough luck on you. I just told her she's not going to be in it. We had company and everything. So I forgot to remind her, but she's no different than anybody else. She's not going to be in it now because she forgot to sign up. And so that's just part of the deal. We have to have deadlines, and people ask, well, why you cut it off so early? Well, in the interface that we built and the new website we built, we have to have time to load everybody in, build the database, and then the picks go live today. So you can go make them. So we can't take the time and cut it off, Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, because, all of us, fortunately or unfortunately, have careers, and we have to do this at nights and weekends and late. So that's why if you ever wonder, that's why they cut off. One thing not really talked about a lot of, but mention it one more time, is starting with the Grand Slam Challenge, moving forward, everything's 100% payout. So I made the decision, then put it to the board to vote, and we removed all hosting fees that we were charging due to we believe in the community enough to grow this thing and get our revenue that way, that we gave that revenue up and wanted to let the pots be 100%. So no more hosting fees moving forward. Then lastly, our 2 winners. So we reserved those for you last night, and you will need to contact JB, email, or Twitter, whatever, or me. You can find me too, and I'll get it to him. If I mess up names, everybody knows I second names, but Ronald Klein, I believe, at RKLEIN1119 is winner number 1. And you can tell this is 100% random by winner number 2, because there's no way I'd manually pick this guy. But Fly Eagles Fly Guy with a bunch of Eagles crap on his Twitter, at Movie Prequels is his Twitter handle, or hers. I don't want to be. It could be a girl, but
the Redskins. Whew.
Yeah, no way I would manually pick that name. But hey, you guys are our 2 winners. We'll give you till tomorrow night. If you don't reach out, contact, whatever, I'll list another winner tomorrow night on Twitter until we get 2 filled. They were $100 each, so there's $200 out to our followers. I don't know if Ruvy said this or not, but I do want to remind you that there's 4 ways to get entered into our prize pack, which now includes Honda stuff, Tory stuff. Our boy Scott got us API stuff last week, and he's getting us TPC stuff this week. I'll have Valero. I'll have WGC. I'll have Byron Nelson.
We have Masters gear from last
year. We have this thing will plus you get an annual subscription. So if you're a member now, we'll bump you a free year out on top of that. This is going to be a $400 or $500 prize pack by the time it's all said and done. If you like and review iTunes, that gets you an entry. If you're a subscriber to YouTube, that gets you an entry. If you're a subscriber on Instagram, that gets you an entry. If you're a follower and you like us on Facebook, that gets you an entry. If you're all 4 of those, you get 4 entries in this prize pack. I'm going to go through manually and pull every single one of them. And so I'm not going to differentiate what you are or not. If you're in there 4 times, you're in there 4 times. So that's very simple to go do, and it helps us a ton to leave us a review on iTunes. We want to get our YouTube subscribers up to 2, 3, 4, 5,000. So go do all that, and you're in there for free. So it's, if you do all 4, it'll take you 2 minutes to like every single one of those, and you get 4 entries into the prize pack that we'll announce also Sunday night after the Masters when we announce the winner. So that's kind of it for me. Big week for us. A lot of content coming out. We'll be in the Slacks a lot this week. It's spring break for my kids. I do have to work still, but Wednesday I'll be in there, as much as I can be. Friday, I think I'm going to probably take the day off. And so if I can do that, then Friday afternoon I'll be live in the Slack for a little cut sweat. I think Bucks, Tambo, any of us guys are all going to try to be in there. I know Mayo and Feinberg are going to have a live show, and I'll be following them as well, but we'll do a little personal Slack as well to kind of keep it rolling. So big week, looking forward to it. Spread the word, and we'll see you Wednesday night.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.
SmashFactor.